So I'm in Los Angeles. I've been here for 4 days. I'm about to fly home in 2 hours' time. And I thought I'd take a chance to have a sit down with a guest. When I get a chance to have a really cool guest, I like to leap on that and get some inputs. I've definitely got one here, which is Mr. Giles Harrison. Some of my friends know Giles. Giles is veteran paparazzi now. We were doing the math. It's almost a quarter century you've been in paparazzi. Yeah. And the reason I want to have a chat with Giles was because he's generally in a field that people would reject, and you need a lot of resilience in your field, right? There's
100%.
People hate paparazzi, they love them. And you know, my style, I don't really get into all that drama, this celebrity gossip, but I know and I hear about it really from you. So what would be a couple of tips you've got on how do you build resilience, Giles? How have you built resilience in your field?
I think the main way that I've built resilience in my field is to just not take it personally.
Yeah.
You just got to understand that you're there to do a job. Celebrities have their job. Security that you might deal with have to do their job. And if you have mutual respect for one another, that's the best type of resilience you can have, because you cannot take it personal.
Nice.
It's business. It's not personal. Like I said, you're there to do your thing. You're there to earn. How I earn a wage is no different than how somebody else needs to earn a wage.
Yep.
And just because you don't necessarily like what I do doesn't make it any less relevant to my life.
Completely, and I love that. Like the fact that it's a field, we were talking about it, some people like really go paparazzi, that sucks, and yet there's a whole market on it because people buy the stories and the gossip. I'm not one of them, but people do, and so therefore there's a demand for it. Even if you don't like it, there is a need for this.
Yeah, it's supply and demand. I mean, we're supplying a product. Every magazine, website, TV show, news program, they all need content, and we provide that content.
Yeah.
People like to see it. They don't necessarily like to know how you got it.
I have to say, from what I know of you, though, you're pretty respectful that way.
I try to be.
You're not the kind of out the bedroom window type stalking house and stuff like that. You're pretty.
I'm too big to stalk people. You'd see me coming.
You do stand out. What about? I know we were talking as well. We've just done some videos with Sean Schofield, and Sean might watch this anyway. But we were talking about charisma, and I actually referenced you because I remember you saying often you don't necessarily want to meet idols because you might be disappointed. Yeah. There's this natural charisma that's authentic, right? And so maybe share with us a couple of maybe people that you do know, celebs that people might recognize that have got this natural charisma that's really authentic and lasts throughout their career.
You know, weirdly, I mean, one celeb that comes to mind that really does have general charisma is Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
A lot of people think, you know, he's this weirdo Scientologist, but Tom Cruise he's got natural charm. He's, you know, regardless of whatever his religious beliefs might be, he genuinely engages with people. He engages with journalists that are interviewing him. He takes the time out to know each one's name, you know, might remember their kids, knows the cameraman's names, knows the lighting man's names, knows the sound guy's name, and he takes that time. So that's part of, you know, just natural charm and charisma.
So part of the charisma being he's very personable then is the replicatable skill.
Exactly.
Being personable is what gives it an extra edge to that charisma.
Well, but I also think, you know, what gives it is that he actually cares.
Yeah.
And I think you can't fake that. You either care or you don't.
Yeah. And
I think it's hard for someone, if you don't really, pardon my French, give a shit, for it to seem like you do.
Yeah.
People sense that. It's like children sense that, and adults and things like that. And I think that's a natural thing.
Natural warmth and that genuine care. And it's funny because for those who are going to see the videos that Sean Schofield and I have done on charisma, this is actually one of the traits we talk about, which is genuine warmth, genuine care, and genuine interest in the other party is one of those things that you can actually put time on that will make you more charismatic.
And Simon Cowell is another one that has a lot of charisma, and people would think that he doesn't, but he is one that actually cares. And when you think about it deep down, the criticism that he offers people, it's not from a personal standpoint; it's from a business standpoint. He's a businessman.
He's being candid.
Yeah, he's being brutally honest, because that's the reality of what people are going to face in the real world.
And yet you're saying the same. You find him very personable.
Very personable, very nice, because he understands that, you know, he has a product, music, artist that the public is consuming. And he understands that. Yeah.
So again, it kind of hammers in that what's a trait you can learn or put it on the other person: personable, warmth, genuine care or interest in what you're doing. One story. One celeb story. Well, come on, you got some. I know we got stacks, and we're gonna be filtered with this. What's one top story that you want to share that you can share, Giles? Have to put you on the spot with that, my man.
Well, I've got one story. It might not be a good one, but I'm going to say it because it kind of makes me look bad. One day I was in a restaurant having a drink with some friends, and Helen Hunt, the actress, came by. and she was walking out. You know how sometimes you make eye contact with people, so you just kind of, you kind of acknowledge their presence. So she walked out. I made eye contact with her. She made eye contact with me. She left. She came back about 2 minutes later, and she's like, "You're a photographer, right?" And I was like, "Yeah." She goes, "That's how I know you're like a paparazzi photographer." I was like, "Yeah." She goes, "Yeah." She goes, "You called me a bitch once."
Oh.
And she's like, in front of my kid.
Oh, Giles.
And I was like, "Are you sure?"
Giles.
And I was like, "Yeah." I go, "It probably," I had to profusely apologize. I was like, "I may have been having a bad day. And she goes, "You know what? I appreciate the fact that you just apologized." And she goes, "But I just wanted to say that." And, she goes, and she was like, "Have a nice day." And she was very gracious and very nice.
Well, that's good.
But just the fact that I got called out.
What's your learning from that? That's what I was going to say, Giles. What's your learning from that?
It goes, watch what you say, right? Even because somebody may call you on it.
May get called out. It's going to catch up with you.
I think the thing is, you have to be as personable as you expect them to be to you.
Beautiful. Fantastic. I love hanging out with this guy here for his 50th. Well, quick 4 days. It's been an awesome time. Great seeing you.
No worries.
About to head back to Australia. And yeah, this ties in definitely some of those videos. Sean Schofield, I'm sure you'll appreciate this. See with the charisma videos coming. I'll see everybody back in Australia. And thanks, Giles, for doing a short live.